welcome to the deep dive. You know, we like to take one single source and really get into it.
Okay.
Today we are talking about the psychology of obsession.
Ooh.
Now you might be thinking, whoa, obsession, that's kind of intense.
Yeah.
But the reason we're talking about obsession is because our source material is from a YouTuber named Thewizardliz.
Okay.
And she actually claims that everyone is obsessed with her.
Yes. And it's not even just like a sort of passing comment. She breaks it down.
Yeah.
There's all these reasons, and it sort of gives us a really interesting way to look at ideas like charisma or self-perception, even self-deception in some ways.
Totally. And so right off the bat, she talks a lot about this idea of high vibe energy, almost like it's her secret weapon. And she talks about how she worked at a restaurant and people were mesmerized by her and her colleagues compared her to sunshine.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever encountered someone who just has that aura?
I think we all have, right? There's always that one person who walks into the room and you're like, okay, something's happening here.
Totally.
And I think what's fascinating is she's tapping into something very real, which is the power of first impressions.
Yes.
And the psychology of charisma. There's a ton of research out there that shows that people who can project confidence and enthusiasm, they just make a much stronger impact right away.
They do.
I mean, think about someone like Oprah, for example.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just what she says. It's that energy that she just brings into a room.
For sure. For sure. And so it makes you wonder, is this something that someone can cultivate or are some people just born with that it factor?
Well, I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
There's definitely a natural element to it.
Yeah.
But there are actually techniques that people can use to enhance their charisma.
Oh, really?
Things like body language, active listening.
Interesting.
Even just the way you modulate your voice can make a big difference.
Wow.
But here's where things get kind of interesting with Thewizardliz.
Okay.
She seems to believe that her high vibe energy is directly connected to her philosophy of detachment.
Yeah, her soul contracts thing.
Yes.
So she says that relationships have a natural lifespan.
Yeah.
And she's totally fine with letting go when it's run its course.
Yeah.
It's almost like she's emotionally Teflon coated. Nothing really sticks to her.
Right. And, healthy boundaries and self-reliance, those are super crucial for well-being.
Yeah.
But her level of detachment, it really does raise some questions.
It does.
For instance, could this extreme approach actually be a defense mechanism? A way to avoid vulnerability or a deeper connection?
Yeah.
Or is she onto something?
Right.
Is she saying by releasing attachments, we free up energy for other things?
Interesting. What do you think?
Well,
I'm kind of on the fence.
Yeah.
Part of me really admires her self-sufficiency. But then another part of me wonders if she's missing out on the richness of truly letting people in.
Yeah, could be.
And you know what else is interesting?
What's that?
She's very private.
Okay.
And she says that unintentionally creates an aura of mystery around her.
And this actually ties into a really powerful psychological principle, which is the allure of the unknown.
Okay.
Humans, we are naturally curious creatures, right?
Yeah, we are.
We are drawn to what we don't understand, like moths to a flame.
We totally.
I mean, think about it like mystery novel.
Oh, yeah.
Unsolved cases.
Yeah.
We crave that sense of intrigue.
We do.
Of piecing together the puzzle.
We want to know.
Yeah.
So she actually shares a story about her mom.
Okay.
And her mom says that people prefer fantasy over facing their own boring lives.
Interesting.
So by not revealing too much, she's almost inviting people to project their fantasies onto her.
Right. It's like a blank canvas.
Yeah.
And in a way, this ties back to charisma. By withholding information, she might be unintentionally amplifying her mystique.
It's like a psychological game.
It is.
And she's playing it masterfully.
Whether she means to or not.
Right.
Yeah.
But this raises a question can you really cultivate deep and authentic connections while maintaining such a high level of privacy?
Yeah.
Or does true intimacy actually require a willingness to be seen, flaws and all?
Yeah, totally.
It's almost like she's choosing to just stay on the surface,
Yeah.
afraid to dive deeper.
It's a delicate balance, for sure.
It is.
And it makes me think about her approach to risk-taking,
Okay.
which is another big theme that comes up in the video.
Okay.
She talks about starting her own brand,
Uh-huh.
despite potential backlash from her family.
Wow.
It was a bold move.
It was.
And it ultimately earned her a ton of respect
Yeah.
and admiration from those who initially doubted her.
It's like she's proving to everyone and maybe even to herself that she's capable of anything that she sets her mind to.
Yes.
And that kind of determination can be super inspiring.
It is.
It makes people want to be around her, to learn from her, be part of her success story.
It speaks to these psychological concepts of courage and resilience.
Okay.
Overcoming obstacles and achieving goals, especially in the face of opposition.
Yeah.
It can create a magnetic effect on other people.
For sure.
And then this sort of feeds back into that cycle of confidence and risk-taking. The more she succeeds, the more confident she becomes, which then emboldens her to take even bigger risks.
It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is.
Okay, but isn't there a danger in believing your own hype?
Uh-oh.
Like, could this lead to a disconnect from reality?
Yeah.
She seems so convinced of her own, like, mesmerizing effect that it makes me wonder if she's missing out on genuine feedback and growth.
That's a really great point.
Yeah.
It's such a fine line between confidence and delusion. And it's something that we all really need to be mindful of.
Totally.
Especially when we achieve a certain level of success.
Yeah.
Because self-belief can be a really powerful driver.
For sure.
But it's also incredibly important to stay grounded and open to feedback.
Yes.
Even if it challenges our self-perception.
So it's not necessarily that she's intentionally manipulating people.
Right.
But rather that her, like, deep-seated beliefs are creating this sort of magnetic field that draws certain types of people and experiences into her life.
Exactly.
Almost like she's curating her reality.
Precisely. And this brings us to another layer of her self-proclaimed obsession factor, which is her emphasis on authenticity and generosity.
Yes. And she even tells the story about her mom's colleague.
Oh, really?
Who initially thought she was fake online.
Oh, wow.
But then later recognized her genuine nature.
Huh?
So it seems like even the people who are initially skeptical, they eventually come around to her point of view.
This highlights the importance of authenticity when it comes to forming those genuine connections.
Yeah.
I mean, you can usually sense when someone's being disingenuous.
Yeah.
And it creates this barrier to trust and intimacy.
Oh, totally.
But when someone is truly genuine, when their intentions are pure and they're actively seeking to help other people, it creates this powerful magnetic effect.
Interesting.
It's like they're radiating this positive energy outward.
Yeah.
And people are naturally drawn to that.
But is it possible that her strong belief in her own authenticity actually contributes to this mesmerizing effect?
Okay.
Could it be that her genuine desire to help other people is being misinterpreted as something more?
It's certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, is she unintentionally blurring the lines between altruism and desire to be admired?
Oh.
It seems like that ambiguity, that blend of self-assuredness and generosity, that's a key part of her appeal. It's a fascinating observation, isn't it? That, like, someone's strong belief in their own authenticity could actually influence how other people perceive them.
Yeah, it really is.
It makes me think about the whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecies.
Oh, wow.
You know, if she truly believes that she has this, like, mesmerizing effect, could that belief actually shape her behavior and her interactions in a way that kind of elicits the responses that she's expecting?
Whoa. So it's not just about, like, her energy or her detachment. No. It's about how her beliefs might be creating a feedback loop.
Exactly.
Almost like she's shaping her own reality.
Our beliefs about ourselves and the world around us, they're so powerful.
Yeah.
They influence how we interpret events, how we interact with others.
Totally.
If she believes that people are obsessed with her, she might unconsciously behave in ways that confirm that belief.
Interesting.
It could be subtle things, you know, like body language, tone of voice, even the types of relationships that she chooses to pursue.
Hold on, though. Doesn't this, like, teeter on the edge of manipulation?
That's a good question.
Is she consciously crafting this persona to get a desired reaction? Or is it more subconscious?
It's probably more nuanced than just straight-up manipulation.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting that she's, like, deliberately setting out to deceive anyone.
Right.
But it is fascinating to think about how our deep-seated beliefs can create this sort of magnetic field that draws types of individuals and experiences into our lives.
So it's less about her being intentionally manipulative and more about, like, the energy she puts out as a result of her beliefs.
Precisely. And this is where the psychology of perception gets really interesting.
Okay.
Our beliefs shape our reality to a significant extent.
For sure.
Think about it.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed how a shift in your own mindset can lead to different outcomes in your interactions with other people?
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, like when you're feeling confident, right,
you tend to attract more positive experiences.
Exactly.
But when you're feeling insecure, it's like you're broadcasting that to the world.
You are.
And people just pick up on it.
Exactly. It's like you're putting out a certain frequency.
Yeah.
And the people who resonate with that frequency are drawn to you.
Interesting.
And this isn't necessarily a negative thing.
Okay.
Self-belief can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It can drive us to achieve amazing things.
Cool.
But it's also important to be aware of the potential pitfalls.
Right.
To make sure that our beliefs are aligned with reality.
Like to make sure that our self-belief isn't turning into delusion.
That's right.
Okay.
It's a tightrope walk.
It is.
You want to believe in yourself and your abilities, but you also need to be grounded in reality and open to feedback.
Yeah.
Even if it challenges how you see yourself.
Totally.
And that's where critical thinking comes into play. It's about questioning our assumptions, considering different perspectives. Okay.
And being willing to adjust our beliefs as we learn and grow.
The more we delve into this,
I know, right?
The more complex it becomes.
It does.
I mean, she clearly values self-sufficiency that comes across loud and clear.
Yes.
But she also emphasizes the importance of helping others.
She does.
Is it possible to be truly detached and genuinely generous at the same time?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to her whole concept of detachment.
Okay.
While it's healthy to have boundaries and not define ourselves solely through our relationships, it's also crucial to cultivate genuine connections and allow ourselves to be vulnerable with the people that we trust.
I agree.
True fulfillment often comes from finding that sweet spot between independence and interdependence.
It's like we need to be able to stand on our own 2 feet.
Yes.
But we also need to be able to lean on others when we need support.
Absolutely.
Share our joys and sorrows. Experience like the full spectrum of human emotion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're social creatures by nature.
We are.
We're wired to seek out belonging and intimacy.
Yeah.
While self-sufficiency is admirable, it can become a trap.
Okay.
If it leads to emotional isolation.
Right.
And a fear of true intimacy.
Yeah, and that's something I think she might be missing out on.
Could be.
Based on her own account.
Yeah.
Her focus on high vibe energy and detachment might be preventing her from experiencing the depth of human connection.
It's possible.
That comes with vulnerability and a willingness to like let down her guard.
To be real with people,
You know, it's ironic.
What's
she
that?
talks about everyone being obsessed with her.
Yeah.
But maybe she's the one who's obsessed with this idea of herself, this carefully crafted persona that she's created.
It's a fascinating paradox.
It is.
And it raises a crucial question for all of us.
Okay.
Are we chasing genuine connection? Or are we simply trying to curate an image that attracts admiration? Are we seeking depth in our relationships?
Right. Yeah.
Or are we content with staying on the surface?
Yeah. It's like she's built this wall around herself with all this talk of high vibes and detachment.
Right.
But maybe those very things that she sees as strengths are actually like preventing her from reaching a deeper level of human connection.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if she's truly happy.
Right.
Or if it's all just a facade.
That's a really thought-provoking question, and it brings us to like a final provocative thought inspired by Thewizardliz.
Okay.
But not something that she explicitly addresses.
Okay.
She talks a lot about the benefits that she receives from her relationships and interactions.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if this focus on personal gain could actually be limiting her growth.
In what way?
Well, if she's always calculating how every interaction benefits her, she might be missing out on the joy of giving.
Okay.
Without expecting anything in return.
You mean like if she's always keeping score?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not about being a doormat or letting people take advantage of you.
Sure.
It's about recognizing the power of reciprocity in relationships.
Okay.
There's a natural give and take, a mutual support that comes from genuine connection.
It's that old saying, like, the more you give, the more you receive.
Exactly. But it has to come from a genuine place.
Yeah.
Not from like a transactional mindset.
For sure.
And I think that's such a valuable lesson for all of us.
Yeah.
Whether or not we buy into her whole obsession factor thing.
Right.
It's about finding that balance between self-care and genuine connection.
Okay.
Between pursuing our own goals
and
contributing to something larger than ourselves.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Wizardliz's world,
yes,
I'm left with a lot of questions.
Uh-huh.
Her confidence and self-belief are definitely inspiring.
They are.
But they also make me think about the potential downsides
right.
of extreme detachment and a constant focus on what you're getting out of every interaction.
It's a good reminder that even the most seemingly self-assured individuals might be grappling with their own vulnerabilities, and that true fulfillment often comes from finding that sweet spot between independence and interdependence, between pursuing our own dreams and cultivating meaningful connections with other people.
Well, it's been so fascinating to dissect her claims and see how they connect to these real psychological principles.
Yeah.
What started as a deep dive into like one person's YouTube video has really turned into like a reflection on our own beliefs and behaviors.
And that's the beauty of the deep dive.
It is.
We take one single source, unpack its layers, and we emerge with a whole new set of questions and insights that we can apply to our own lives.
So as you go about your day, consider this. How do you balance self-sufficiency with the need for connection?
Good question.
Are there areas in your life where you might be holding back, afraid to let people in?
Right.
Or maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum, giving too much of yourself and neglecting your own needs.
It's a lifelong journey.
It is.
It's self-discovery and finding that balance between independence and interdependence.
It's all about balance.
It is.
Keep those questions in mind. Yes. And who knows what fascinating discoveries you might make.
You never know.
About yourself and the world around you.